Welcome back to Purple and Gold Zone Season 2, Episode number 4, coming at you with quarterfinals and almost titles. I'm your host, Montana, repping the purple and gold. As always, on camera and off camera, you already know I'm repping the purple and gold every single day. Super excited. This is a super exciting week. We are finally in quarterfinal elimination in season action. And again, I'm a little bit shaky on the in-season tournament as a whole, but I'm excited. I'm hyped. And the Lakers blew through the group stage match, one of the 4-0 teams to go through group stage play. And yes, granted, they did have one of the easier group stage lineups to go against, but they just dominated in that group stage. So we are going to get right into talking about that. Super excited. Let's go, baby. Purple and gold. Let's get right into it today. So looking at our quarterfinal matchup, it is against the Phoenix Suns, who we are currently 2-0 against. We have played the Phoenix Suns 2 times already this season, which I don't know about you guys, but it feels like a lot to me. That feels like way too many times to be matching up against that team. But within that, we have gotten to see 2 Kevin Durant-led games that were fun to watch. It's fun to see Kevin Durant versus LeBron. We have not gotten to see that since 2018, so shout out to that. But what I will say is this, it feels like too many times, but we have gotten the best of them in both games. But we are 0-0 against them when they have Devin Booker, because he has been out both times we have played them. KD has hooped and KD has balled, absolutely gone out when, and honestly, here's the thing what I will say about Kevin Durant. If you watch my other show, Well Beyond the Arc, last episode, me and my co-host David, shout out to David, go watch his show, Mind of Fans, his podcast on soccer, it's great. Go give it a shot. Anyways, what I will say is we talked about the Suns and we talked about how Kevin Durant can put up big numbers, but that doesn't affect the win-loss column like it should. And we've seen that against our first 2 games against that team. Kevin Durant has gone out and hooped both games, and they have lost both games. So, not trying to diss on Kevin Durant, but what I will say is it shows that Kevin Durant can be the one out there putting up big numbers, but he does not get it done. He doesn't lead the team to victory. And so Devin Booker, it's another story. When Devin Booker and Kevin Durant are out there, to me, that's a whole different story. When both of those dudes are out there, it's way more dangerous. Our second game against them, which was our in-season tournament group stage game, they also had a player like Bradley Beal, who they did not have when we played them the first game of the season. So they were a little bit more stacked when we faced them the second time, which was that group stage matchup. But now, Bradley Beal is out and Devin Booker is in. I think Suns fans and NBA fans and analysts would all agree when you're talking about who has a bigger pull on the floor, who's a bigger loss on the floor, it's definitely Devin Booker. Not a diss to Bradley Beal, but they definitely miss Devin Booker way more than they miss Bradley Beal on the floor. And Devin Booker being on the floor for this team for the first time that we've played them this season is literally the only reason that I am not 100% confident we'll beat them. Because it's not like we're 1-1 against them. We are 2-0 against the Suns. And both times they had Kevin Durant, and the second time they definitely had more depth, and we still won, and we looked super solid. And I think we look like a better team than when we last played them, which literally was not that long ago. I mean, we literally just played this team in an in-season group stage matchup November 10th. So we're talking about not that long ago. So for me, we are a better team, but so are they. Talking about them having Devin Booker back from injuries and having more depth back, Grayson Allen is also back in the lineup consistently. Lakers have Vando back. Let's go. Vando is finally back. He had a pretty shaky first game. We'll go into that next. But he's finally back. Hachimura is back. The only player that is currently listed out is Vincent. So for me, the Lakers have the most pieces that they have had the whole season, but so do the Suns. So it's kind of, in my personal opinion, our first real look at the matchup between these two teams, because this is these two teams at their strongest. Both teams are coming off of wins. Both teams are coming off of really good-looking wins. And for me, it's going to be a super solid game. I think the Lakers are going to show up. The Lakers have proved time and time again this season that they can show up against a team such as the Suns. Now, again, that is a Suns team that had a little bit less high caliber because they did not have Devin Booker, and in the first game they did not have Bradley Beal as well. But what do the Lakers have over the Suns? And it's obvious. I'm gonna give you guys 10 seconds. I'm gonna count it out. I'm gonna give you guys 10 seconds to answer, even if it's just to yourselves. What do the Lakers have over the Suns? And I hope all my listeners or viewers get this because it's good. Listen to the background music and just think for a second. I hope you enjoyed that beautiful background music, sponsored by Splice. Let's go. Not getting paid for that shout out, but it's good just to give it a little shout out anyway. Anyways, what do the Lakers have over the Suns? The answer is, if you did not get it, I will tell you, it is size and it is defense. The Lakers are absolutely going to dominate the Suns in the paint if Anthony Davis, Christian Wood, and Jackson Hayes all show up, and they should, not to mention Vanderbilt. We are an extremely dangerous team in the paint when A, we have all of our players healthy, and B, all of our players show up on the court. Because I will say, unfortunately, even a player like Anthony Davis, who is fantastic, an all-star, a legend, could possibly be Defensive Player of the Year, and could possibly even end up in the MVP debate at some point if he stays healthy. That dude is hooping, and he's great. Sometimes he does not show up. Christian Wood, not the same type of caliber player as Anthony Davis. Same with Jackson Hayes, but those are still two dangerous pieces that sometimes will not show up. But still, if those dudes show up, Nurkic is not going to be able to stop at those dudes. Kevin Durant can play defense. Kevin Durant can be dangerous, but those guys are not going to be able to shut down Anthony Davis. And on the other side of the ball, Christian Wood and Anthony Davis, and Christian Wood and Jackson Hayes, and Anthony Davis, whatever combination is on the floor, those dudes are going to be able to hold it down. So what it's going to be able to come down to is, can we contain Devin Booker? Can we shut Devin Booker down? Can we slow Booker down? That is going to be the key. I am really interested in just seeing what Ham has cooking for shutting Booker down. There's a lot of debate on, is Darvin Ham a good coach? Does he make the good calls that we need him to make? Or does he just get bailed out from the players he has? My personal opinion is he is a really good coach, and I do think that it's going to take some time for him to develop into the type of coach that Lakers fans expect him to be, but we're already on the right track. And so I think we are going to see a really, really defensive and a really smart lineup. But on the other side, the Suns have former Lakers coach Frank Vogel, who understands LeBron and Anthony Davis's tendencies. Luckily, those are the only two players remaining on the team from when Vogel was around. But they understand... Well, I guess... Okay, that's not true. I guess Austin Reeves' rookie year. But the only two players that won a championship, and Austin Reeves was definitely not developed like he is now. But what I will say is, Vogel is a good coach. We're not going to get into too much of Vogel, because I could do a whole show talking about the whole Vogel situation and his last season, his departure, and what went down. I'm not going to do that. No one wants to watch that or listen to that, to be honest with you. But what I will say is this. Vogel is a really solid coach, and he is going to show up, and his guys are going to show up. But even with that, I do think that LeBron, as crazy as it sounds since he's in year 21, is playing his best offensive basketball as a Laker. Is he averaging his most points? No. But he's taking his best looks from three. He's taking his best shots. He's driving when he needs to. LeBron looks extremely sharp offensively, and I don't think that even Vogel, knowing his tendencies, is going to be able to shut that down, because how can you? And because they don't have more size, yes, they can try to double Anthony Davis on defense, or yeah, they can try to do what they need to do to Anthony. Instead, they responded, pulled off an insanely impressive victory when in the beginning they honestly did not look in control of that game, and now they're on a roll. So I've got the Lakers winning their quarterfinal matchup against the Suns, even with Booker, because A, I don't think the Suns are going to be able to contain them in the paint, and B, I do think the Lakers are going to find a way to slow and contain Booker and shut that offense down the best they can. Give me the Lakers on top. Purple and gold all day. You already know. Does not matter. Suns and Lakers, we don't have a rivalry, but we have an unspoken one. They knocked us out this season after we won the chip. We have kind of gone back and forth. And so, for me, it's personal. Give me the Lakers. Give me the Lakers in a close one, though. Give me the Lakers by 4. Because, again, first one was 5. Second one was 3. Let's go third one 4. Why not? Give me the Lakers 126 to 122 in a high-scoring game that narrowly misses an overtime game. Lakers win by 4 to move on, but it's a hard-fought game. But obviously the Lakers need to show up and play their best brand of ball. But now we're going to look at the overview going forward beyond the quarterfinal if the Lakers do pull off the victory like I think they will. 3 points in the second game. So both games have been extremely close with two teams that were extremely shorthanded the first time, a little shorthanded the second time, and are now the least shorthanded they've been. So I think it's going to be a dogfight. I'm going to call it right now. I think the Lakers win because I do think looking at their last win against the Rockets, which we're going to go into in a little bit, looking at that win for me, yes, the Rockets are starting to lose a little bit of steam, but to pull that win off after losing to the Thunder, they very easily could have dropped this game and started that slide, but they did not do that. At the other Western Conference quarterfinal game, it's going to be taking place today as we record this episode. It is the Sacramento Queens versus the New Orleans Pelicans. The Pelicans, I'm going to be honest, I'm not a betting man. The Pelicans are a decent team, currently sitting at 8th, right behind the Lakers in the West, and they're looking pretty decent, but they are currently on a 6-4 game win streak in their last 10, and they're 3-6 away, and they're not the greatest team overall top to bottom. And the Queens are currently looking pretty nice, sitting 4th in the West with an 11-7 record, and they're on that 1-game win streak, beating the Warriors in that game and looking really, really, really solid and really, really, really nice as a team overall. Another big win that they had was against the Nuggets. Again, though, they are a team that you'll see be a little inconsistent because they had that loss sandwiched in between the Warriors and the Nuggets game against the Clippers where they lost. But again, you had that 1-game win streak coming up against that win against the Nuggets, which was huge, and then also beating the Warriors in that group stage match to even be here. The Queens, excuse me, I always forget. I can't forget what they're supposed to be called. The Queens are scary. They're a scary team, and I joke around, I call them the Queens, don't disrespect. I mean, it is a little disrespect because I'm not a fan, of course, but they're a pretty solid team, and they're also a team that we are 0-2 against this season. So I would love to see them in the semifinals, and I think that's what we're going to see. There is parity, but I don't think that the Pelicans are going to beat the Queens. I think the Queens beat them. Give me the Queens. I'll do a little for fun. Let's do a little score prediction. Give me the Queens beating the Pelicans 110 to 98 as we record this episode. The game is taking place, again, I'm out here living in Hawaii, so the game is taking place 5 p.m. my time. So for a lot of my people living in the Midwest listening to that, that's taking place at 9 p.m. That's that late night game. That's that second game of the day. So give me the Queens, and then that gives us the Queens versus the Lakers in the semis. Like I just said, we are 0-2 against them so far, but this is the most depth we have had, and for that sole purpose, give me the Lakers. I'm going to keep it short and sweet because I think we can beat the Queens. I think we really can. I think the thing we've been lacking most is depth. We have 2 L's against them, unfortunately, on the season. But again, this is the most depth we have had, and Vando was one player that we definitely missed against them. Our last loss against them was unfortunately a 15-point loss. Pretty large loss, but our first loss against them, we only lost by 5. That was early in the season. We did not have a lot of depth, but we still honestly looked pretty decent that game. But the difference was when we played them again November 15th Anthony Davis did not show up. He only had 9 points and 9 rebounds. It was not a fantastic game. Our role players did not show up. The only 2 players that really showed up were LeBron James and D'Angelo Russell, and Cam Reddish honestly did show up a bit as well, but it just was not enough, and our role players did not come together as much as we needed them to. So the difference is this game, we need Anthony Davis to show up. He's been on a roll. He has not been too quiet. His motor's been running hot. He's not so much Anthony Glassman Davis. He's not really a Disney right now. He's being MVP, Defensive Player of the Year candidate, Anthony Davis, and that's what we need. So if that dude shows up, which I think he will, give me the Lakers beating the Queens in the semifinals. And you know what? I'm gonna say it right now. I think it's not gonna be a blowout because the Queens are a good team, but it is gonna be a nice win. Give me the Lakers 120-108 in the semis, and then that takes us to the championship, December 9th in Vegas. Looking over at the East, I'm not going to go into the games game by game. We got Bucks, Knicks. Give me the Bucks. We got Celtics, Pacers. Give me the Celtics. I love parity. I really like the Pacers. I don't really like the Knicks. Who does? Are there even Knicks fans still alive? I don't know. But what I will say is this. I do think that there will be no parity in this. Give me the Bucks. Give me the Celtics. Between Bucks, Celtics, it's tough. It's really tough. It could go either way, but I've got to go with the Celtics. Give me Celtics Lakers meeting up for the championship in Vegas. This is perfect for the first ever in-season tournament. One of the greatest rivalries in sports. Give me Lakers Celtics finals. And what I will say is this. That will be a game that could define a lot for the Lakers, because if you win that, you're the first ever in-season tournament winner. And does that game count record-wise? No, but it does count momentum-wise. And for the Celtics, it's the same exact thing. You're looking at a brand new structured team that is looking to win a title in their first season with this structure. And so this is huge. This is boom. This is like rehearsal for the big show, bro. That's what I'm telling y'all right now. This is the rehearsal, and we could very well see Celtics Lakers if we're not careful. We could see Celtics Lakers in the finals in the summer. So that's what I think it's going to be. Lakers Celtics. Between those two teams, obviously the Celtics are on a roll. Celtics are the best team in the East. I mean, it's not even my humble opinion. It's just facts. They play the Pacers today. Let's just break it down. They're on a 3-game win streak. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They're 14-3 in conference games, and they're currently undefeated at home. The Celtics are a dangerous Boston Classic type of team. So, it's going to break my heart to say this, but unfortunately, I've got to give it to the Celtics. If our matchup brings us up against the Celtics, like I think it will, my prediction is our road ends in the championship game against the Celtics. I guess I'll give you the alternative perspective, which is we play the Bucks. Let's say the Bucks make it. And if we somehow play the Knicks or the Pacers, I mean, we're going to win no matter what. So we're just kind of going to get into it, because the Lakers are currently sitting at 12-9, and is that way better than they looked last year? Absolutely. This team looks leaps and bounds better than they did last year. When we did these episodes last year, all I could do was roast them. Was it maybe a little more entertaining for y'all? I don't know. Let me know. Should I roast them a little more? Should I come up with more nicknames? I don't know. I haven't had the reason to do that right yet. So, we'll see. There's a couple moments where I've had them, but not too much, because this Lakers team is not the same team as last year. And I want to preface that before we get into this little segment. I want to say this is not the same team. This is a team that is leaps and bounds better. Obviously, we opened up the gate against the defending champs and the team that knocked us out of the playoffs. We dropped that game by 12. We didn't look fantastic, but we looked like a team that, okay, we could get this done. And then, of course, going into the game against Phoenix, we just got done talking about Phoenix for the last little bit, and we beat them. That was a really good game. Anthony Davis looked good. We looked solid. Again, then we went into Sacramento. We had that overtime loss. But looking at our wins versus losses, we have plenty of wins against lower tier teams. I'm talking the Memphises, the Portland Trailblazers, the Jazz, the Pistons. So we have those wins that we've racked up. Of our 12 wins, we have won 1 Utah, 2 Portland, 3 Memphis, 4 another Portland game. 4 of our 12 wins are coming against teams that aren't even going to sniff the playoffs. Is that something to be upset about? No, because last year we were barely beating those teams. The Detroit Pistons, we would not have beat them 133-107 last year. We would have either barely beat them 111-107, or we would have lost against them. So the fact that we're winning 133-107 and D'Angelo Russell is in charge of 33 points for that team, and that's the win, and that's one of the main reasons, that's a huge sign. That's a great thing. But at the same time, you look at a loss like OKC. Several losses against top-ranked West teams that worry you when you think about playoffs and when you think about the home stretch of a season. When you look at the East, we have losses against team like Philly. Is Philly going to make the NBA championship? Is it going to be Philly Lakers in the finals? That would be something else. I would be shocked, to be honest with you guys, if it was Philly Lakers. I'd be surprised. I'd be here for it. But we lost against them. 138, bro, this was bad. 138-94. LeBron's the worst loss in his career. It was terrible. And then you look at Orlando, a team that out of nowhere is sitting second comfortably in the East, and they beat us 120-101. And that was the beginning of their hot streak. That was really when they started picking up steam, and it wasn't a fluke. They're still there, and they look like they'll remain there potentially. So for me, we've had several losses that maybe they've been because we've been shorthanded, maybe they've been this, maybe they've been that, but those are the losses that we need to win those games. Those are the losses that cannot be losses. Now that we are winning the games that are quote-unquote easier, quote-unquote winnable games, we need to win the other ones as well. Now we have won. Again, we've pulled off some impressive games like Phoenix, close games like Phoenix, close games like Houston, close games like Cleveland, because yes, Cleveland is kind of an up and down team, but they're 11-9 and 8th in the East, and they're a solid team, and that was a back and forth game. I mean, we've had some solid games. And then we've got to look at a loss like Dallas. And it was kind of a trashy game, kind of a weak game overall from the Lakers, and we only lost by 3. 104-101. Not a bad game. Not a bad loss. They're a team that's considered on the rise this season. Same thing with Sacramento. Yes, we have that 125-110 loss, but we sold that game. That was a Disney. That was a Disney in the flesh. 9 points, 9 rebounds. Trash. And I say that because he's so much better than that. He's not trash. And that was just a terrible performance. Because when we had a team that showed up and Anthony Davis scored 30, we only lost by 5. So those Sacramento losses, and again, we're turning those around, hopefully in the semifinals of the in-season tournament. So I think we'll turn that around with a win there. But we have some losses that are more respectable. It's not like we've been blown out every game that we've lost. But again, we have several losses that are 30-plus points. And that does concern a fan that has seen teams, whether they're Lakers teams or not, beat those lower tier teams, gain a record that's respectable, and then fizzle out and be a quote-unquote pretender. I don't want to be a pretender. I want to be a contender. And some of these wins versus some of these losses make me feel like a pretender, even though we do have a really nice record at 12-9. And we're on that win streak of 1 game, and we're solid at home, with only 2 losses. Our away games are really what we need to work on. Our away presence those are a lot of our inconsistencies. But for me, this is a team that I don't feel like is battle tested enough yet. And I think that we saw that in the playoffs. And I think that we are seeing that throughout this season. We're seeing teams such as Philadelphia that are more battle tested, such as Miami that are battle tested, such as Sacramento, Denver, these battle tested, prepared teams that show up ready to go. And the pacing of games, well, it's better leaps and bounds than last season. I still would like to see it improve. So for me, the first little bit of this season, it's not even a quarter quite yet, but the first little chunk of this season, while the Lakers do look like a team that I can finally, I think they're going to get some flowers. I think this Lakers team is going to get flowers no matter what. I think LeBron is going to have a hell of a season. I think Anthony Davis could be Defensive Player of the Year. I think we're going to see the Lakers walk away with a couple of awards and a couple of alls. I mean, I think there's a very high ceiling for this Lakers team, but there's just a lot of things. We have games where we don't show up. We have games where, again, injuries, that's one thing I want to say. I don't want to go too into it, but injuries have been huge for the Lakers. I don't want to make excuses. Missing Hachimura, missing Vincent, who is still out, missing Vando, who's finally back, missing Reddish for a couple games. Missing those guys is huge, and so having a full roster now going forward from the quarterfinals on is a huge boost for this team. And so for me, I'm in a place where I'm like, this potentially could be the best this Lakers team has looked from this point forward. I'm very optimistic, but the first little bit of this season, I have my uneasy feelings about if we went up against a team such as Philadelphia in the finals, losing by them, losing to them by 40 plus points does not make you feel great when you think of that scenario. It really does not. So for me, it's something that is on my radar. Same thing with like the Queens. Okay, the Queens, while I do think we're a better team pound for pound when we're healthy and fully there, we also have to be fully there while we're on the court. You cannot just put up 9-9. Anthony Disney Davis, come on, bro. That's the one player I'm going after, I guess, this episode if I'm picking one. But Anthony Davis has played great this season, and he is by far, if you're watching the video version of this and you haven't just zoned out and you're not just listening to the beautiful, beautiful jazz of Purple and Gold Zone, as well as my voice, you'll notice that Anthony Davis is the leading scorer on many of the games they've played. So Anthony Davis has played fantastic, but he has his Anthony Disney evenings, and unfortunately we've seen some of those in some of those losses. But if this team is healthy and really gets that chemistry and figures their lineups out, because they've had a lot of different lineups as well, a lot of that has been injuries, but if they can get that right lineup and get that consistency and get that health consistency, I think this Lakers team can really make a stride with who they have. I think they could pick up a couple of pieces, maybe a Caruso, maybe a piece like that, but I don't think they're going to go for a Levine. I don't think they're going to go for any big pieces, because I think in order to get one of those pieces, they would need to give up too much, like an Austin Reeves or a Hachimura, and I don't think they want to do that at this point, and I don't blame them. I don't want to do that, bro. Man, put me in the front office. Let me talk some sense into those dudes. Don't give up those dudes. I mean, those are some of the players that got us where we were. So the hope is that we part with very little, if we do part with anything at all. But if I'm giving a rating to our 12-9 start to the season, I'm going to be brutally honest and give it a B-. The minus is only there because of LeBron's worst loss of his career. And that's a long career, bro. Of all the years in Cleveland, no, come on now. So that's one reason. And then also, I just feel like we have not been consistent enough. And that's a really general statement. I want to work on being as general, because I know a lot of the talking heads are really general. So I don't want to be general with that statement, or at least too general. I want to say, like, consistency can be so many different things. And a lot of those levels the Lakers are lacking on any given night. whether that be consistency getting rebounds. Anthony Davis is not getting to the rim like he needs to. Certain players are not getting to the rim. Certain players are lazy and throwing away certain passes. Certain players are not getting there to the defensive lineups like they've planned or like they're supposed to switch to in-game. There's just a lot of inconsistencies that can happen. And there are games like the Philadelphia one where all of those inconsistencies were happening. Most games, you're going to have one inconsistency as a team. The Lakers' three-point shooting has plagued them probably since LeBron has been there, even before their terrible Westbrook era. And I will call him Westbrook, by the way, at this point. I used to not, but I'll call him that right now. So usually that was the one that plagued them the most. But within those losses, I've seen three-point inconsistencies, rebounding inconsistencies, paint inconsistencies with scoring. I've just seen a lot of inconsistencies. So for me, it's got to be a B- because they've just been extremely inconsistent, and because LeBron's worst loss in his career. Those are my two main reasons. But the Lakers being a B- in their first little bit of the season is great, because last year they were not even a B. So shout out to the boys in the purple and gold. You already know they're showing up and showing out, and it's only going to get better from here. And that brings us to our last segment of the show, finishing with a top 5. Today's top 5 is the top 5 Lakers teams that never won a championship. That means these Lakers teams were stacked. They had great players, legendary teams that did not win championships, that either made it to the finals and lost, or made it extremely close in the playoffs and never got it done. So enjoy the top 5 Lakers teams that never won a championship. Coming in at number 5 for my top 5 Lakers teams that never won a championship are the 1972-73 Los Angeles Lakers. This team had a record of 60-22 with a playoffs result of losing to the New York Knicks in 5 games in the NBA Finals. This was the 9th and final NBA Finals appearance for Jerry West. And while the Lakers were successful the season before against the Knicks, they could not pull it off. They had an extremely successful season, winning 60 games and looking extremely successful. Goodrich led the team in scoring with 23.9 points per game, along with 4.4 assists and 3.5 rebounds. And also, Wilt Chamberlain had a really good season as well. He was also aging with Jerry West, but they still contributed. Chamberlain finished 6th in MVP voting, and Jerry West finished 4th that season respectively. However, the big loss was losing Elgin Baylor, and also with Wilt and Jerry aging, they could not get it done and ended up losing and being overpowered by that Knicks team in the finals, and this would be the final run of this Lakers dynasty. Coming at number 4 is the 2003-2004 Lakers. With the Lakers coming to an end, the front office for this organization could tell the end was near, and they threw one last effort to get a 4th title with Kobe and Shaq. This included bringing all-stars Karl Malone and Gary Payton to the team. This was a huge move, and many people expected this Lakers team to steamroll the season and win a 4th with Kobe and Shaq. The Lakers had an extremely successful season, finishing 56-26. Coach Phil Jackson led another successful campaign, and they had an extremely successful campaign through the Western. But when it came to meeting the Detroit Pistons in the 2003-2004 finals, they were not strong enough for an extremely prepared and extremely well-versed Pistons team, and they ended up losing in 5 games. This would be also the dismemberment of the Kobe and Shaq era, and Gary Payton and Karl Malone would not stick around past this season, as this was really just a one-and-done effort to get that title. Coming at number 3 is the 1997-1998 Lakers. This team far overachieved for what anyone thought that season. But they had an extremely successful season, and this was definitely a look into the future for what was to come for the Kobe and Shaq era of the Lakers. Shaq was entering his prime, and this was Kobe's first season as an All-Star, and Eddie Jones was also a reliable wing player who helped Kobe Bryant blossom and transform into the player he was. This was an extremely important and formidable season for the Kobe and Shaq connection. This team sneaked past the Seattle Supersonics and the Portland Trailblazers in the first 2 rounds, but they were no match for Karl Malone and John Stockton. This team led the Utah Jazz, but we were so close to seeing a Lakers versus Bulls finals. We were really close to seeing a young Kobe versus Michael, but unfortunately, because of a very powerful Utah Jazz team, this Lakers team was halted to a stop in the Western Conference Finals, losing in 4 games, getting swept. Coming in at number 2 is the 2007-2008 Los Angeles Lakers. They finished with a record of 57-25 with a playoff result of losing to the Boston Celtics in 6 games in the NBA Finals. This team served as the beginning of the second championship run for Kobe Bryant, and while it started in a loss, it was a great way to start, as this team soared and had a fantastic regular season. They played great, and the addition of Gasol was huge. This team had incredible regular season success, and they looked like a successful Lakers team again after being such a lackluster team since Shaq had left. The Lakers went a staggering 22-5 in games that Gasol started in the purple and gold, compared to the 35-20 without Gasol, so his presence was huge when he was on the court and when he was healthy. This team had an extremely successful run, and when it came to the playoffs, it was a very hard-fought Western Conference that season, but they outlasted the Hornets by 1 game for the first seed in the West and went on to defeat the Nuggets and the Jazz and the Spurs on their way to the finals. Ultimately, though, the Celtics did look a lot better, and even though the Lakers held on for 6 games, they did not look like the better team in the slightest. Coming in at number 1 for our best Lakers team that never won a championship was the 1990-91 Lakers. They finished with a record of 58-24, losing to the Chicago Bulls in 5 games in the NBA Finals. This team is most important for being Michael Jordan's first NBA title, but beyond that, it was led by Michael Cooper and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's exits, so James Worthy and Magic Johnson were the only 2 of that dynasty left. So this was really the end of that dynasty. It really closed a chapter, and even though Kareem and Michael Cooper had been big parts, the Lakers were still able to have regular season success, finishing 58-24. The team went on to be the 3rd seed in the Western Conference, and they had an extremely successful run. They were really thought that they were not going to go that far. They were really thought to overachieve for where they were considered to be at in the beginning, but their playoff experience became crucial, and that was a huge reason that they beat the first-seeded Portland Trailblazers in 6 games. They were on a really, really nice run, and this was a really nice memory for Lakers fans, but unfortunately it is overshadowed as the fact that it was Michael Jordan's first championship, and because the Bulls did dominate the Lakers and kind of usher in a new era, it should be remembered as that, but we have to remember this Lakers team and give them some props because they were at the end of the Kareem and Magic era and the beginning of the next. Well, guys, that takes us to the end of another episode. Please let me know in the comments if you agree with my top 5 best Lakers teams to never win a championship. Let me know your guys' lists, and let me know, are there any top 5s or special segments you guys want to see, comparisons, top 5s, top 10s. Let me know in the comments if there's anything special you guys want to see. And yes, also, I morphed into the Target shirt. I don't work at Target, but I morphed into my work shirt while we were recording. I had to do it. Got to get back to work, you already know. But it has been awesome, as always, talking to you guys. A couple of other projects I'm working on currently. The Connor and Heffernan Show has been up and running for a couple of years now. We talk all things sports. You can just see it right here on this channel. If you're catching this on YouTube, it is on the same channel as Purple and Gold. Or check us out at the CNH Show on Spotify. If you want to listen to the episode, it's fantastic. We talk all things sports: football, basketball, baseball, boxing. You can find it all on there. And then also Well Beyond the Arc, my NBA show. We are live. We are taking this week off, but shout out to the Yankee and the Brit sports channel. It's great. There's MMA shows, NFL shows, documentaries. Check the Yankee and the Brit out. Hit it with a sub and check out Well Beyond the Arc live. We will be back next Tuesday, more than likely. But thank you guys so much as always. And as always, you already know, go Lakers. Have a great week, guys. Happy holidays.